Hello. Welcome to another edition of Fitness Friday Posi-TIPS with Rachelle. Folks, first off, I wanted to wish you a happy Mardi Gras. For those of you who don't know, as I have folks who tune in from around the world, and I certainly appreciate each and every one of you, your support and encouragement. But folks, Mardi Gras is such an important time of year for the state of Louisiana. As you can see, hence my Mardi Gras beads, trying to be a little festive for this episode. And of course, you can't see, now you will, but I'm actually sporting my LSU slippers. So one thing that's certainly true in the state of Louisiana, it's a love for Mardi Gras and a love for LSU. So that's that. But folks, I wanted to kick off this 4-part series on fitness marketing, particularly fitness facility marketing, because we have seen a tremendous paradigm shift in the fitness industry in the last 20 years or so. But when we think about truly modern day fitness facility, where there's marketing and all of that, the chain concept of gyms that's so prominent now. Of course, fitness has been around since, walking, running, before we had all these technological advances such as treadmills and ellipticals and arc trainers and all of that. People did things the free way, and that worked very well. But for many years after that, I'm just going to go back to a milestone, 1965. Think about just truly where a big paradigm shift happened in the fitness industry. 1965, when Joe Gold founded Joe Gold's Gym International. And that particular chain, when you think about how this whole chain concept, whether it be your traditional commercial chain, big box gyms as they're called, your franchise concept of chain gyms. It truly started in many cases with the advent of Gold's Gym. And Joe Gold will always be considered a pioneer in the fitness industry and just truly made a lot of headway and just really shifted that paradigm in a new direction, a very positive, favorable direction in 1965. So when you think about the 60s and the 70s and even the 80s and how this paradigm has shifted, where we've gone from this big box, a very small number of chains that essentially, not to say ruled the fitness industry, but you didn't have a lot of fitness options in terms of fitness facilities back then. And so comparably speaking to today, I should probably clarify that to say, so you had your Gold's Gym, you had your 24-hour fitness is actually always remaining in one of the top 5 ranked gyms in this country. So 24-hour fitness is an outlier. They continue to do well, owned by private equity group. And though they continue to do well, you've got, what did I mention? Gold's 24-hour fitness, LA Fitness, of course, now they're owned by private equity group, but they're corporately owned. So that's not a franchise model, continues to do well, continues to experience a lot of growth. If there's 2 ways to grow as a business, as a company, as a corporation, it's organic growth, all right, or growth through acquisition. So either you're starting your own gyms or you're starting your own particular franchises, or you're buying up other gyms, other franchises. So for example, you can have a particular chain gym and you go and buy some other franchisees' gyms within that chain. So, okay, that would be growth through acquisition. Or in LA Fitness's case, was about 4, 5, 6, no longer than that. 2010, 2011, 2012, they grew by acquisition of Ballet Fitness. I was actually a former member of Ballet Fitness here in Novi before Powerhouse Gym, and they bought a number of ballets in this country. So organic growth, so again, starting over, starting from scratch, new gyms being built even within a franchise umbrella, or growth through acquisition, going out buying other gyms, acquiring other gyms, and adding that to your portfolio. So 2 different ways. So as I mentioned, Powerhouse Gym, also founded during that time. So what we had during that particular time period was World's Gym. I didn't want to forget World's Gym, but those type of gyms that were essentially, Joe Gold was a bodybuilder. So we had those gyms that I just mentioned that were founded out of that bodybuilding era. All right, and so to fast forward to the 90s, the 2000s, here we are in 2018. One thing that is certainly true is bodybuilding is certainly remains a sport, remains a viable sport, but it has nowhere near the popularity that it used to have, 30, 40, 45 years ago. It's just not the same. And so as a result of that paradigm shift, so in lieu of your kind of bodybuilder-based chain gyms, your big box gyms, what we have seen over the last 20, 25 years is this shift towards smaller, more specialized, even these particular days, boutique facilities that charge more, that require, as an owner, you're going to need less number of members because your price points are higher than your typical gym. So we see the smaller and the chain concepts. We see the proliferation of gyms such as 9 Round Fitness, and Club Industry Magazine stated that they are now, they added 150 new clubs in 2017. You see Crunch Fitness, very, very popular on the northeast part of the country, southeast and west coast, and they're starting to slowly bridge the gap and open up in other markets, but they're certainly a big contender. You've got your Planet Fitness, you've got your Anytime Fitness, and those all top-ranked gyms based on whatever publication you're reading. So those are the gyms that are certainly proliferating your CrossFit boxes. So we're talking about, now this was a couple years ago, stated and cited by CrossFit themselves, Greg Glassman, who's the co-founder, that at that time they had more than 13,000 boxes across the country. So when you think from a sheer facility standpoint, CrossFit boxes lead the entire industry. So that was a couple years ago. So they're probably at 15, 16, 17,000 by now boxes across them. And boxes just a facility. Your CrossFit, where you participate in your CrossFit, they're actually called boxes. So very, very large number of CrossFit boxes. You've got Planet Fitness. Club Industry Magazine in 2017 was recognized as #1 in terms of the total number of members. So again, we've got your top chains, you've got your top facilities, you've got Orange Theory Fitness, which is also a top-ranked franchise, very metabolically driven, very, very results-driven, very unique concept. We'll talk more about that in future episodes. So you've got your smaller, more boutique facilities. You've got again, this, you'll always have your big gyms, your large gyms, because there's going to be people like myself that just do not have zero interest in going to one of a small gym or anything like that. I like very large gyms with a lot of space. And so you're not going to see your large gyms going away, but what we're seeing, though, is a growth in the fitness industry is coming from these smaller chains, these smaller concepts. Why? Because research has been shown that the smaller a facility is, the more profitable it is. So your huge 60, 70, 80, 100,000, 120,000 square feet facilities are going to be on a general basis, less profitable than, say, an Anytime Fitness, which is running anywhere from about 15,000 square feet. Those are smaller facilities, and that are very shopping center based. And of course, it ranked #1, and for many years it was a #1 global franchise in Entrepreneur Magazine for 2015, 2016. It slipped a few spaces in 2017, but that's why that particular fitness franchise has been so successful, is because it's small, they're smaller, and we'll talk more about that in another episode, but relatively small facilities don't need a whole lot of members. It's not fully staffed all the time, so just has a lot of strengths that some of the other franchises may not have. So we'll talk more about that in future episodes. But again, what we're seeing is, and I've got a great example here that I found also in Club Industry Magazine that highlighted, so January 16th, Gold's Gym, the title of the article, Gold's Gym franchisees accept buyouts in 3 states. 24-hour fitness expands in New York. So we think specifically, as I mentioned, the Gold's Gym, those gyms that came, those franchises that came out of that bodybuilding era, slowly going away. They're never going to go away, but you just see their numbers continue to go down. And just to quickly highlight this example, the Princeton Club of Madison, Wisconsin recently announced that it has acquired the Gold's Gym in nearby Fitchburg. WKOW.com reported on January 13th. Gold's Gym was looking to exit the Madison market, according to the report, and Princeton Club, which sounds like a private club, acquired the Hard Rock Road Club with plans to honor previous Gold's Gym rates and contracts, as well as provide member access to all 8 existing Princeton Club locations. So a couple of things. Again, you're seeing a Gold's Gym franchisee exit the market and sell to someone else, but you also see that concept that I mentioned, growth by acquisition, where Princeton Club is buying other clubs to add to their portfolio. Another example here, Gold's Gym, same article, Gold's Gym of Rainbow City, Alabama, permanently closed its door January 15th following a buyout from local health club Absolute Fitness, according to a report by the Gadsden Times. Gold's Gym owner Stace Beecham accepted a membership buyout in December after being a brand franchisee since 1996. All of Gold's Gym's 2,600 members will pay the same dues under the same contracts at Absolute Fitness, the Times report said. The West Grand Avenue Club offers 40,000 square feet of space and is open 24 hours. So a couple of examples there, and I was so curious to say, now why would a Gold's Gym franchisee since 1996 all of a sudden say, I'm done? So I did a little research. That was Rainbow City, Alabama, where they were, Absolute Fitness had bought out that Gold's Gym. And yes, 5 miles down the road in Gadsden, Alabama is a Planet Fitness location. And one thing I told you, if there are Planet Fitness is opening up here near you, or even a Crunch Fitness, of course their growth is a lot slower, but it's definitely on the uptick. Be concerned, be concerned. And so wanted to highlight this other quick example that I have here of the fact that in New York, Club Industry Magazine also pointed out Planet Group franchisee group ECP-PF Holdings buys 10 more clubs with plans for 50 more. And just a quick snippet, ECP-PF Holdings Group, which started in 2012, has grown to 71 clubs, mostly through the acquisition of existing Planet Fitness franchisees. So that group is out of New York, and they bought some locations, it looks like, in Long Island, according to this particular edition of Club Industry Magazine that came out on January 25th. So very, very recent example. Lastly here, Club Industry Magazine highlighted on the 21st of January, Planet Fitness has reached 1,500 clubs now based on the first quarter and now can claim presence in 50 states. The 1,500th location opened at the end of 2017 in Durham, North Carolina. Okay, let me just fast forward here quickly. Planet Fitness has agreements to open another 1,000 locations across the country, and half of those will open in the next 3 years. Planet Fitness CEO Chris Rondo said during a January 4th appearance on CNBC's Mad Money with Jim Cramer. So that is what we see. That is what we see. We see a smaller number of franchises that are experiencing a rapid level of growth. And so whether you're even thinking about buying a franchise or you're becoming a franchisee yourself, or you're just a gym goer or a fitness fanatic kind of like myself, we see a lot of exciting things happening in the fitness industry. And as I mentioned in an episode at the end of 2017, there's a lot of options in this particular, there's a lot of options. If you're in a small town and you have very few options, then okay, that may be the truth. But if you're in a medium-sized market, mid-sized market on up, we say proliferation. There's just so many different fitness options. Title Boxing Club, Retro Fitness, Planet Fitness, Anytime Fitness, Lifetime Fitness. I mean, there's just so many. I could go on and on and on and on and on. CrossFit. I mean, there's so many different examples. And so it from a consumer standpoint or a potential member standpoint, gym member standpoint, there's just so many different options and modalities to help you on your quest. So if you're struggling, if you've been a member of a gym historically and you struggled, then look at CrossFit, look at Orange Theory Fitness. I mean, there's just so many different examples, and I could spend hours and hours on this particular episode alone. So much growth, so much growth. 9 Round Fitness, as I mentioned, another top contender. We're looking at growth in the fitness industry. Excellent franchises that's doing very, very well as well. But what this means for you is competition is always a good thing as a consumer, because you just have options. Options is always a good thing. And I'll close with this here. Lastly, we talk about the paradigm shift. The Metro Detroit area is a very competitive fitness market. I'm not sure why, but it is. We have a lot of options here. And one thing that I had an opportunity, and I mentioned this in an episode late last year, but had an opportunity. Crunch Fitness has come to town, as I mentioned. When I envision the future of the franchise fitness chains, the clash of the Titans will be Planet Fitness and Crunch Fitness. But you can take that to the bank. It's happening. It's already happening. And so Crunch Fitness has entered the Detroit market, had opened their first club this particular fall, but I had an opportunity to go and meet Michael Garza during their pre-sale in the spring. Went back to the club after it opened in October, and they are just really, just poaching members from other clubs, doing very well. It's an excellent franchise. We're going to talk more about that and Planet Fitness in particular, and why I call them to the future of the franchise larger volume chain model and some of their marketing and all of that. So we're going to talk about that next time. But here in Detroit, Crunch Fitness has entered the market. They've actually, that Westland, Michigan location is where they are. they've actually announced, and I knew this was coming, but now they have listed the locations. So we've got another Crunch opening up with a target date of April right here in Farmington Hills, and it's closer, it's on Haggerty Road for those of you who are in Metro Detroit. So it's the Farmington Hills, North Farmington Hills, kind of bordering on Novi. So it is about to shake some things up here quickly. So Planet Fitness of Farmington Hills, Planet Fitness of Novi, Lifetime Fitness of Commerce, Lifetime Fitness of Novi, Powerhouse Gym, my old gym, Anytime Fitness, Anytime Fitness in Farmington Hills, Anytime Fitness in Novi, CrossFit 248, which is actually one of the top ranked CrossFit boxes in Metro Detroit. They are all about to feel that. You've got another location slated to open up in Dearborn on Mercury Drive. I used to live in Dearborn, so right there, close to Ford Motor Company. It's about to shake some things up, and we're going to talk about why that is and why this particular model, in a relatively short number of time, in a number of years, essentially, has really begun to give Planet Fitness, will continue to do so, give Planet Fitness a run for its money. Now, of course, they don't have the volume and the number of facilities that Planet Fitness has, but they've come in with a very strong model. And for success. So Planet Fitness has a very strong showing there in Dearborn, but Planet Crunch Fitness is about to come in and shake that up. So I look forward to continuing this conversation next time, talking about market segmentation, customer segmentation, and just some of the marketing that you see, and why some of these franchises and some of these organizations and some of these chains do what they do in terms of their marketing. So stay tuned for that. I look forward to discussing that next time. Thanks so much for your time. Make it a wonderfully fit day.